Welcome to the EmpowerHer Wellness podcast. I'm Morgan, and I'm thrilled to be your host and wellness coach as we navigate the path to a healthier, more confident you. As the owner of Get Fit With Me, I bring years of experience in personal training, nutrition, and coaching to each episode. Join me as we explore practical tips and strategies for fitness, nutrition, mindset, and more, all tailored for busy women just like you. Let's empower your wellness journey and achieve lasting transformation together. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the EmpowerHer Wellness podcast. I'm your host and coach, Morgan Ekovich. And today I'm joined in person, for those of you watching on YouTube, with Danielle Uderitz. And this is the second time we are having her on as a guest today. For those of you who have not tuned into the first episode we had with her, I'm going to have her give a little bit of background on who she is, what she specializes in, and then I'll do a little story about how we met, and then we're going to get into today's topics. So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a coffee addict. I have my seventh cup of coffee today. But hello, everyone. My name is Danielle Uderitz, or Dani is what I go by also. I am the founder and CEO of the Find Your Fit Academy. And I have just a huge passion for helping people just better their lives. And that's just what I do in a way of personal training, nutrition, life coaching. I feel like I have changed my name to a life coach with an emphasis on functional fitness and nutrition, just because we get so much deeper than fitness and nutrition. So
absolutely.
I am also a new mommy. You'll probably see our other guest or our other co-star here in a little bit. His name is Jameson, and my amazing boyfriend Jeremy, and we live up in Bellingham, Washington. And yeah, we're just living our best life these days, just being mom.
So I'm super excited. And like I said, I know a lot of you are listening to this audio, so you're not going to be able to see us. But remember, we do put this on YouTube. So today we are actually in person together in Bellingham, Washington. And we are at a place called Her Connection Hub. Super awesome place. They have this podcast studio. So it's fun to actually get to be in person with little buddy. But today we have a fun little topic. Danielle and I met 4 years ago, and it's been fun to kind of see our life change and evolve in a multitude of ways. Funny enough, this is only the third time of us actually meeting in person in the 4 years we've known each other. So today we're going to be talking about a topic that I think is really big just in general in all areas of our life. And we're going to teach you how to make a choice, because there's so many choices that we make, and there's no right or wrong choice. It's just the choice you decide to make. So kind of on that topic, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the excuses we have, making a choice, priorities, and all of that. Mm-hmm. So Danielle, what are some of the, I'm going to use the word excuses because I think that's something that we hear people say, is what are some of the common excuses or reasons your clients can't do something, or they're not able to be successful? What are some of the main ones that you hear your people say?
I don't have enough time. I don't know what to do. I've got kids. I'm gone at the office from 7:30 to 4. It's mostly a time sensitive thing, or it's more of a, I don't want to. I wish someone would do this for me. I've gotten that a lot. I wish someone would just hold my hand and just do this for me. And I'm just like, that's just not reality. That's just not how that works. Unless you're a baby, everything's done for you, but you're not. We're adults.
And I think the time one is the biggest. Mm-hmm. I hear the time specifically when it comes to working out and meal prepping and nutrition. So yes. I thought today would be fun to kind of dive in a little bit deeper into both of those specific areas.
Great.
Because we've all probably heard, we've all got the same 24 hours. Life is different. And it is true. We all do have the same 24 hours, but we just make different choices on a day-to-day basis, in a moment-to-moment basis, really, of which choice are we making takes a higher priority over another. Correct. And a lot of times we use the excuse of, I don't have enough time, I can't make it to the gym. Yeah. So let's start with that one.
Sure.
Okay, so can't make it to the gym. Hey, Dani, I cannot make it to the gym. There's just no time in my life for this to happen. Yeah. How would you coach someone through this for they don't have enough time?
Yeah. The way that I approach it is I really ask my clients, or I ask people, what does your day look like? And a lot of the times it needs a physical, people need to see what I'm talking about. And sometimes it's really good to have a visual. So sometimes I will go like on Google Calendar, or we'll take their physical calendar and we'll be like, okay, write out what you do. So like, what time do you get up? How long does it take you to get ready? Like we do an audit, like what's the audit of your day? And there's a lot of buffer time. There's a lot of, oh, I was on my phone, but we don't account for that. We think that like I get ready and go to work. We don't account the drive time. We don't account like going to the bathroom. And that's, I don't expect to do that with clients too, obviously, but it's like the time suckers are scrolling on social media that we don't even know how much time we spent on there. Or, for example, like spending time on emails. Like I understand lots of people get emails in their day. I get it. It's daunting. It's annoying. But do we really have to spend 2 hours on emails? Is that really how much time you need? Or can you do 15 minutes 3 times a day? You know what I mean? So we talk about the different ways to do that. And I feel like when we have a time issue, we have to talk about priorities. And is the gym a priority? Yes or no? Is your goal a priority? Yes or no? And I was talking to Morgan about this yesterday. I feel like I've evolved as a coach of being a little bit more on the harsher side, but I do feel like that's something that has to at least be a question. That doesn't mean you, again, you get to be empowered by the choice that you make, whether that's what you want to do or not. But it is a question I think is valid to be like, well, do you want to accomplish the goal? Yes or no? Like I'm not going to do it for you as a coach, right? So you have to be able to make the time. So how can I help you make better time is really what it comes down to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
What about you with your clients?
Well, I love the looking at your time and going on Google Calendar and accounting for. And I think we're in a world right now where we do so much so quickly that it is good to know, it is good to give yourself buffer time so that you aren't feeling rushed.
Right.
You're not trying to get out the door, especially if you do have kids. I know a lot of people are trying to slow down because when we are rushed and anxious, we pass that on to them, whether we know it or not.
Very much.
So being able to give ourselves some buffer time, really what I tend to look at with my clients is when we talk about working out is, okay, in a perfect world, what would that look like? Well, it would be 4 days of strength training, 3 days of cardio, and some stretching. Awesome. Right now, based on this season, what can you commit to on a week by week basis? So when I work with my clients, we do weekly check-ins. So we build out your week a week in advance, which when they progress with me, we move them to bi-weekly and then monthly to kind of wean off that accountability or that hand holding. Because I do believe some of us need it in certain areas of our life at times. Like that's why we have business coaches. That's why we hire our own personal trainers. That's why we do things, is because even ourselves as coaches need some support and a little bit of kick in the butt of like, or you're spending too much time doing something that's not moving you forward. So I always break it down with my clients into just look at it for the next week. What are you able to do? Well, I can get 2 strength training workouts and I can do a cardio. Awesome. Let's plan those in the day. So we take that plan and we actually implement it.
Exactly.
With the flexibility of life happens. You may realize that, hey, I've got a family member who I got to go watch the grandkids on a drop. Okay, totally okay. But also we've got that communication where they communicate with me, not so they're also communicating with themselves.
Right.
Because I think a lot of times we let ourselves, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. It was the plan, or, oh, we'll do it later today. And kind of just fall into that rhythm. Whereas when we have to communicate it with somebody else, not explain or justify why we've skipped it, but just communicating it, and makes us more aware as the individual who is missing it. The commitment that they committed to.
Totally. And I love what you said about like the seasons. I think that's also another great thing about having someone hold you accountable or hold you, just asking the question, what season are you in right now? Are you able to commit to what you think you need to do? And I think that's the other like caveat to this, is that when people think that they need to get healthy, it's going to the gym 5 days a week. Absolutely. You can go to the gym 2 days a week and still be very successful. And it really just depends on the season that you're in. So I think it's nice to have also a coach too, to be able to be outside looking in, because maybe you're not seeing, like you're seeing your day on the day to day, like it's consistent. It's always like routine habit, right? So if someone else is being able to be like, well, I see like a literal, like an hour and a half here where you're just doing random shit. What about just scheduling that to be your time to go to the gym? For example, my boyfriend, I always use him as an example. So he works from 7:30 to 4 o'clock. That's a long day. And the last thing he wants to do is get up at the butt crack of dawn to go to the gym beforehand. There's just no way. The only other option is to go after work. So he has to go at that time. So instead of like pissing and moaning about it, and he has goals that he wants to accomplish, he has to just go and do it at that time. Now, the cool thing about it is that I wait to go at that time, and I wait to take my son at that time too. So we're doing like a family workout, but not really. So it allows us to spend more time together, but we're not. So it's nice to be able to bring your family involved into this too. It's not just yourself. Like you could go for a walk with your kids. You can go to the park and do push-ups on the bench. We don't have to have such a rigid schedule if your goals are living a healthy life. But if you're like wanting a specific physique goal, that's a different story. And that may be in a different season of your life. But I think it's great for us to be able to help clients to be able to look at their schedule and just be like, hey, I got you. Like I can help you figure this out. And it's not going to be perfect this week. It may not be perfect next week, but we'll get there.
Right.
You know?
And I think the bringing everybody else in, because I know even for me, sometimes I get caught in, I need to get my workout done before Mike gets home because I don't want it taking away from our together time.
Sure.
And I think a lot of times we think of our workouts as our personal time.
Sure.
But we also fall into this box of it's only our personal time. When it's also great to involve other people in your life. And if there's on vacation is something, like I love to walk around. Like when we're in Florida and we're seeing family, like I go for a walk. Sometimes Mike will join, sometimes he won't.
Yeah.
But like I know for me, it feels really good. He'll go golfing, I'll do my walk. Sometimes we do stuff together. But it's thinking about when do you need that personal time versus when is it okay to do something when somebody else is also around. Because we try not to be selfish, but sometimes it's okay to be selfish and say, I need to take 30 minutes. I need you to prep dinner. And then I'm just going to go do 30 minutes. I just need to stretch. Like I need to be undisturbed and asking for that and advocating for yourself. Like we've talked about on other episodes, advocating to our doctors, advocating to our physicians, that certain things that we go through are not normal, but they're classified because they're in normal levels. But we need to advocate for ourselves that we feel that something is wrong in our body.
Totally.
Same thing goes when we want to be able to go to the gym, be able to work out, and also have the flexibility of, okay, so life happened. I can't get it. I do not have the time to get in the car, go somewhere. That happened this morning. We had a Costco delivery that happened. Kitchen table got delivered. We were supposed to go to the gym this morning. Ended up going for a walk. We ended up switching up our day. But we also are committed to making it happen.
Exactly.
And yes, I'm on vacation. You're able to stay at home with him right now. So we have more flexibility.
Totally.
But it's also not being like, okay, well, it didn't happen. It's not happening at all.
Exactly. And I think the communication part, it's really important. You don't have to necessarily work out with your family if you truly believe that's your personal time. Like for me, that is my personal time. I don't have alone time right now. So that is my personal time. But it's very important for me to communicate to my spouse that I need that time. First of all, my spouse also knows that if I don't get it, he's like, get the fuck out of here and go do something. You're like, you need to go get your energy out. Because if you don't, it's just going to prolong your goal even further. And two, what's the real issue of not communicating that need is always what I ask my clients. Does your spouse not support you? Do they not understand what you're doing? Do they think that you're just on another diet and that, oh, this time shall pass and we'll have our time together?
It's a phase.
A phase? Is it awkward? What is the issue? Do you not want your partner to know what's going on? So that's another question to ask yourself is what's the deeper issue of why you can't ask for what you need? And a lot of times, I believe women especially feel guilty for asking for one, what they need, two, to go and do something for their body is a form of guilt. And I see it a lot in women. Like I have a client who, same thing, like if she doesn't get her workout done before her husband, it doesn't happen.
That's crazy.
Because he wants to spend time with her, which is fine.
Yeah.
But it's also like they're spending time together is watching TV, but she's also communicated saying, hey, like, this is really important to me. And so then she'll just walk around her house. Yeah. So again, I said this on the last episode, something is better than nothing, right? So it's just, I think that communication piece is very important to the excuse factor.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing that plays into that we're not going to dive fully into today is really we're talking about mindset when we talk about all of this today. Right. Like we're talking about our mindset.
Yep.
And yes, we're not saying we are talking about mindset today, because mindset is one of those things that it's never the first thing somebody comes to me and is like, help me fix my mindset. Yeah. No, it just naturally happens when we have these conversations about exercise or about our nutrition. Right. Which, let's move into the nutrition topic, because I think this is another big one where we tend to have these conversations of, I don't have enough time, I can't eat healthy, or I'm always grabbing something on the go. And yes, there are times and places for that. But in my mind and how I've worked with my clients is it boils down to how are we allocating our time and our energy, and what choice are we making are we making the choice to make a grocery list, to plan our breakfast for the week or our dinner. It doesn't have to be our entire life, but start small and move your way up, because people say they don't. I actually just had someone reach out to me and she's like, is meal prepping hard? And I said, it doesn't have to be, but it can be, because if you're somebody who's never done it and you choose to do all of the steps, that's overwhelming and it's not successful most of the time. But it can be, depending on how you approach it. Just like exercising can be hard, depending on how you approach it. Putting together a Costco table can be hard if you don't approach it by looking at the directions. Like, so there's lots of things that can be hard that, I just don't have time. And those kind of overlap, I find. Sometimes I don't have time, it's challenging, and also like a little bit of fear probably deep down of, what if I fail at this? Totally. It's okay to fail at meal prepping.
Absolutely. I think, in all honesty, I think the fitness industry has gotten overcomplicated. I think that's mistake number one. And when it comes to meal planning, I think the idea of meal planning freaks people out because they have to have these elegant, extravagant meals, and it needs to have multiple ingredients so that it's like, not only do I have to make a fucking huge long ass laundry list of this, now I have to go and find all this stuff that may not all be at the one store that I want to go get it at. I take multiple.
And then I'm going to get bored of eating it by day 2.
Exactly, because then you're eating the same thing. So as a coach, we're able to help you outsource and resource different ways of meal planning. And I think again, having that extra support, and I'm not saying you have to do this with a coach. I'm just saying it's important to even just listen to this podcast and be like, oh, I really don't have to make things so fucking complicated. Like, it just has to be simple, like chicken, rice, and a vegetable. Like, that is it. And then you can add sauce, you can add spices, you can add whatever, and it doesn't have to be complicated. Just like a workout doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to get all these supplements. You don't have to get all of these things if you're just getting the basic needs.
And I think the protein bowls are like one of my favorite things to do, or to tell clients, or that I do, is, so it's not very often that I get ground beef from the grocery store anymore, because we have family that's got resources. So I end up getting fresh beef, but it's frozen. The beef that you usually get from the grocery store is not frozen. So as soon as that comes into the house, I will brown all of that up, season it all. Once it cools, I'll Ziploc it into portions, and then I freeze it. So that in the morning, I'm pulling out fully cooked beef or fully cooked chicken, rather than, I have to do this next step and process. So it can be as simple as that of, once it comes in the house, can I cook it? So that I don't have to cook it later in the week.
Right.
Or it can be as simple as, okay, protein is something I am really struggling with. We are overcomplicating it, but when we look at it, is if you don't think you have time for meal prepping or eating healthy, I would take a look at what your schedule looks like. And in all honesty, for you, I don't know about you, but I've gone to I go to Panera drive-through sometimes. I feel like I sit there for 10 minutes. That by the time I drive, I pick up the food, I sit in the drive-through, I get home and I eat it. I could have made a full meal at home. I could have easily made eggs and toast. Is it what I wanted? No, but do I know that's probably going to make me feel better? Yes.
Yeah, and I always teach clients like batch prepping. So like batch prepping is two things to this. One, I cook when I'm already cooking. So if I'm cooking dinner for my family, I may throw on some extra ground turkey or an extra like thing of rice because I'm already getting my kitchen dirty one time. So let's just continue making the mess so that you don't have to re-clean, make the mess, all the things over again, right? So that's like step one. Batch prepping, like cooking multiple things, and then you can intermix things at a time. So for me and our family, I always have ground turkey, ground beef, salmon as the meats, and chicken, and then sweet potatoes, rice, and potatoes. Or sweet potatoes, rice, and pasta. And so then I can just add whatever veggies I want to that. I can make it into a salad. I can just piece whatever I want together. And it could be just at a drop of a hat. Or another way of meal prepping is cook in abundance when you're at dinner and then just utilize that for your lunch at least the next day. If you can prioritize, in my opinion, 2 meals a day, breakfast and dinner, that's going to allow you to be able to cook extra and support yourself the next day at least, right? And so that's 2 days out of the week that you're supporting yourself. That's good. And it continues the cycle over again. And some people do need to take some time to learn how to cook eggs or cook ground beef. But that kind of goes into the priority and excuses type situation. If you can teach yourself how to sew or how to make these Instagram DIY things, like you can teach yourself how to cook an egg. You have to also want to commit to learning a new skill. And that's what a lot of this is. Not only is it, part of the skill is time management. That's a skill. Learning that. And that takes some time. Again, we were just talking about this morning, like my boyfriend, he likes to just get up at the last possible second and go. Morgan and I like to sit and curate over our coffee, read emails, take care of a bit, like take time before we have to go out and do the thing. Everybody's different. But I would say on the stress level meter, Morgan and I are on the lower end of the stress level meter. Jeremy's probably on the higher stress level meter, and that's not a bad thing. That's just the way that he operates and it's fine. But I could never do that. If I did that, I would be on ultra stress. So of course I'm not giving myself the opportunity to make time. But the goal for me is way higher of a priority. That's okay too. I think we also talked about acknowledging your season, and it's okay if it's not your season right now.
It's okay. Exactly. Like you may notice that you are in a time of your life where your priority is one workout a week, or it's you just going to the grocery store. But it's choices that you're making based on this, and it's having those conversations with yourself and having those conversations with your partner and your family. And whenever we do this, we tend to say, well, we'll just wait till Monday. We're going to do this, or we're going to wait till the new year. And what I always encourage you to do is if you have a bad meal, don't wait till the next day. Just make your next one better. If you notice, I really indulged, I just did not feel good. Okay. What can you do in your next meal to make sure that you actually feel good? And for your family, hey, we're not going to start the start of the month. Like, can we go grocery shopping tomorrow and start on Monday? And can we just sit down at the table together? Because I notice I'm just mindlessly eating when we sit on the couch. And like, it can be little things like that and how you prioritize yourself. And it's priorities. And the more you can be aware of the choice you are making and know that whatever choice you make it's neither good nor bad. It's neither right or wrong. It is a choice. And just like you're being asked about ice cream, what kind of ice cream do you want? Chocolate, vanilla, choose. Okay. There's not a right or wrong answer. You're just making a choice, and just be confident in the choice you make. And don't use it as, I don't use those excuses, because all you're doing in that sense is you start to hold yourself back, and then it trickles into those around you. I was talking to somebody, and it's the group of people you surround yourself with is important. And if you surround yourself with people who are always making excuses, you're more likely to actually be in that as well. Whereas if you surround yourself with people who are empowering and supportive and want to grow, you're going to want to feel that way, even if you're not going towards something, you're just naturally going to start to take on those traits.
Absolutely. There's a book that I'm reading right now called The Magic of Thinking Big. And one of the pieces that I was just reading about was actually busier people get shit done more because you're already in a sense of, and I hate hustle culture, but there is benefit to that in some way, shape, or form because you're prioritizing where you put things in your life. Those that have more time on their hands actually tend to be, I don't want to say lazy, but do have more excuses because, oh, I'll wait until later, because you think your time is more endless. Like it's just more endless. And when you're busy, that's not the case at all.
You have to be more structured and more regimented.
Right.
Which comes with that routine and consistency. It doesn't mean that your routine and consistency is, oh, it has to be at this time to this time, which I know I can totally get caught in that.
Sure.
But it means that you have enough of a structure that if your brain was not working, you could still get yourself through your day and accomplish your things.
Yeah.
And that's okay to have a regiment that's like that, but also know, like, we're going to go out to dinner later today.
Yeah.
So we're flexing bedtime.
Yeah.
I say we. You're flexing bedtime for him.
But we are. But the cool thing about this is, though, as much as people want to dog on the fact that having rigidity is like boring or whatever, it actually frees up more time. Mm-hmm. So what I mean by that, and I literally do the same thing almost every day when it comes to a routine. So for example, we get up, we have coffee, we get dressed, we go for a walk. Right away, we go for a walk. One, because I know that it's way harder in my day to go for a walk later in the day. So why would I put myself under stress if I know that this is the most opportune time? Then we go about our day, running errands, whatever. And then I go to the gym in the afternoon. Why do I go to the gym? Because I want that family time with my spouse. I want to have his, so that he's going to kids club, that he's having more time with other people. And then as soon as we get home, it is like clockwork of exactly my routine so that I'm setting myself up for success the next day. Bath time, bedtime, dinner, the way that I actually wash bottles, do the coffee at night. I set my coffee maker at night, so it's at least 3 minutes of the next day I don't have to think about. I wake up to my coffee being done. Mm-hmm. So even though I have probably the most rigid schedule most of the time when it comes to my health and fitness, it allows more opportunity for me to be able to make other decisions for myself with who I hang out with, make dinner plans, going out with friends, having sporadic moments with my spouse, whatever, because it actually just allows you to have more time. But what we have to learn is how to break some of those old habits and those cycles of things like, oh, I just mindlessly scrolled on TikTok for 45 minutes when I could have done something else. And when you do that, don't feel guilty about it. Just you're making the choice to do it next time. Oh shit, I'm on TikTok. I've been on here for 15 minutes. I better get up and go do something else.
I think that's great because it's sometimes that awareness of like, because I can guarantee we all notice when our partner's scrolling. We can all guarantee when we see somebody else doing something.
Yep.
But we tend to not notice it about ourselves, or we're just like, oh, that's not really happening. So what are some like reminders or homework assignments or whatever we want to call them that you give your clients who want to start noticing where their time is going and notice when they're probably doing things that are taking away to helping them reach their goal? What are some like exercises or homework or things like that you give them to start creating that awareness?
Well, one, as far as like physicality goes, is like a homework assignment would be like the calendar thing, right? So just go and journal about your day or go and write down what you actually did on your calendar. I think it's important for like, yeah, you have your calendar that you set up, but then go back and edit of what you actually did. If someone has the personality to want to do that. But also, like you said, awareness, like just realizing what you're doing. You're capable of knowing that you're on your phone and that you've been on your phone for a long time. So when you notice that, as soon as you notice that feeling, take action. Mel Robbins does the best thing, in my opinion. She talks about the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. Your brain takes 5 seconds to change your mind from the thing that you want it to do or don't want it to do. But if you're committing to do something like, I need to get up and go do the laundry. From that thought, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. so that you do not have another second to change your mind. Just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So that's one, that's a very powerful tactic, because we as humans are very good at changing our minds and talking ourselves out of things.
Oh yeah.
So same with a workout, with anything that you commit to, just tell yourself 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and go. And again, when you get to the awareness piece of things, that's the best gift you can give yourself, is just becoming self-aware, because when you know something, you can't unknow it. So
like when somebody points out when you say, and you're like,
shit, I say like every 5 seconds.
Which it's always funny because I feel like I bring up that example a lot. And then we're almost at the end of recording a podcast. And I noticed that I'm like, how many times did I say this episode? So one of the things that I do is, yes, that awareness, but sometimes it's hard to know in that social media aspect, because you may go to the bathroom and you may scroll. You may be waiting for the microwave and you may scroll. You may be laying in bed and you may scroll. You can create that awareness, but there's also another level of how much time are you actually spending, which that's where we don't know. So I know iPhones do it, and I assume Androids do it as well, is you can get a weekly report of your time spent on certain apps and your social media. So I've actually set it up on my phone, and I encourage my clients, and it does take a little bit of accountability being held to yourself. So you can set it up so that after however many hours or however much time, your apps will actually lock. And for you to open it, it will ask you a question. Ignore it for a minute, ignore it for 15 minutes, ignore for the rest of the day. And it does ask you. And don't get me wrong, there are days where I consciously choose to ignore for the rest of the day, but I'm consciously making that choice. I've put a timer on. I was at 2 hours for the longest time, and now I'm down to like an hour. And the only times that I go over that are our lazy Sundays or a travel day when I'm in an airport and I'm like, you can't be on the laptop right now because we're getting ready to take off, but the Wi-Fi works. Like, it's some of those weird time frames. But for the most part, my day-to-day, it's been really eye-opening to be, and it gives you a reminder, hey, you have 10 minutes left. Hey, 1 minute left. So it reminds you of like, oh, the fact that I'm even reaching that creates that next level of awareness, because we do, if only Netflix. I know Netflix asks, are you still watching? But I feel like that's very, oh, is that what it is? I think so. But I think having that next level, once you notice that you're doing it often, there's a lot of automation. Start tracking it and see how much it actually is, and slowly wean it down and notice where your time is going when you are not scrolling.
Yeah. And I think it's important too, because I also feel like the health and fitness industry is very much like track. But the reason why I think it's important, and for those especially who are starting out in a fitness journey, tracking is really important and a benefit, because it helps to build that awareness piece, which then in turn down the road, you don't need it, because again, you can't unknow what you know. And so it just helps you in the future. Does it suck for a short term? Yeah, but that's okay, because you're learning a new skill. Awareness is a skill, because there's lots of people that don't give a shit, and that's fine. And they choose, but that's a choice that they're making, and that's okay. And that's the way that they want to live your life, or they'll live their lives. But you are making a choice to say, I want X. You keep saying, I want to lose the 30 pounds. I want to lose the 40 pounds. I want to lose the baby weight. I want to lose whatever. So to stop continuously saying that, tracking and building that awareness piece is really important for us to be able to, one, have someone help you, and two, bring that awareness to yourself.
Absolutely. And I think that as we talk about all this, we dove into a lot today. We talked specifically about exercising. We talked specifically about meal prepping and planning. And really the main thing is, yes, I said the topic was choice. And the choices you make, I want you to remember there's no right, no wrong, no good, no bad. It's the choice that you are choosing to make as an individual for you and your family, or for you and your spouse, or for just you in general. And all of this, start with just being aware of what choices you are making, then start to look at your time management, and then start to realize where things can be flexed. For instance, like we said, I can't make it to the gym, but I can do that workout at home because it takes up that commute time. Or I can't do the full meal prep process. I don't have the time to, and I don't like the word can't, but I don't have the time to cut and wash veggies. This week I'm buying a veggie tray. There is so many options out there. And yes, those pre-done routines are a little bit more expensive. Is it something we want to do all the time? No, but it's a good trade-off.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of as we wrap up here, a few things is if you are listening to this and you know somebody else, if you know your mom, your sister, your best friend would benefit from hearing today's episode, go up to the top, make sure you share this episode, send it to them directly in a text right now and let them know, hey, I think you'd really benefit from hearing this, and you share your favorite nugget from today's episode with it. The other thing that I'd like to do is one last little takeaway from you, and then let people know in the show notes, we'll have your information for people who want to reach out and ask more questions.
Yep.
But if there's anything else you want to kind of share as we wrap up here.
I think it has to go with that making the choice thing and really trusting yourself. I said this in the last episode that I was in, but I don't think you are the one that knows yourself best. And when you believe in yourself and trust in yourself, you will also trust and believe the choices that you make for yourself, good, bad, or indifferent. And again, not good or bad, but like the choices that you make for yourself are going to benefit you or not benefit you. I just encourage you to trust yourself. Don't look for social media to validate you. Don't look for your friends and family to validate you. Try to find that validation within yourself so that these decisions become easier and less decisive as you grow in your journey.
And on that note, remember, we are all about accountability and action in this group. So if you listen to anything here today and you're like, I actually would like the accountability on it. If you'd like the accountability from Danielle, her contact information is in the show notes. Reach out to her. If you'd like it from me, she's also in our community and she's more than happy to hold you accountable. But make sure to jump in those show notes, jump into our free Facebook community, call your shot and say, I'm going to track my schedule this week. This is how much time. I will follow up with you and ask. All you got to do is call your shot. I'm not going to go looking for you asking what your shot is. You got to call it on your own, but I'll be there to help you and support you along the way. So on that note, thank you so much for joining again today.
Yeah.
I loved having us in person.
Me too.
And remember, send this to your mom, your sister, your best friend, someone you know who would benefit. And we will see you all next time. Talk to you soon. Thank you for listening to the EmpowerHer Wellness podcast. I hope you feel more empowered and ready to tackle your wellness goals. If you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover, feel free to send me a message. Make sure to subscribe and leave a review to help us reach more women just like you. Until next time, take control of your wellness and keep empowering yourself every day.